Significance, Chapter 2, Part 1. Okay. It still boggles my mind how you can eat those things, my dad said, as he'd said 100 times before, but this time he sneered instead of joking with me. I mean, it's pure sugar and starch, and bad for your carbs. Are you saying I need to lose weight, Dad? We sat at the kitchen dinette. I say dinette because it barely fits 2 people. I'm not sure if dinette is how you say it, probably because we just say table. Okay? So if it's wrong, I apologise. Same with any other words I say and it's wrong. This was where we'd been ever since that ride home from graduation. It was an utterly silent ride except for one congratulations muttered from Dad. Nothing more. I had been sitting there for almost an hour, checking my phone, and waiting for Kyle to text me. I never thought I'd be waiting for Kyle, but I would have done anything to get out of the house tonight. I did, however, get a text from Bish. Congrats, kid. I'm really sorry I couldn't come, but the boss is on me and interns can't really negotiate, you know. But I love you and can't wait to see you. I'll come home for a visit soon, I promise. No, Dad cut through my moment of happiness with more grumbling. I'm not saying that. Stop being so dramatic. I'm saying they're not good for you. Dad, I've eaten honey buns almost every day since birth, along with thousands of other Americans. I'm sure they're not lethal. Stop the sarcasm, Maggie. I'm just saying you could watch it to make sure your weight doesn't get out of control one day. Your mother always said... Okay, stop right there, Dad. I have no interest in what that woman thinks of me. She left so she definitely doesn't get a say anymore. She doesn't care. She was always on me about my weight. Of course, back then I just thought it was motherly protection, you know. Now, who knew what was going on in her head? I'm kind of sure, I guess, 5'3". My mum always said I should watch it and maybe start doing more activities, such as joining the cheerleading squad again. I quit my sophomore year. I was already on the track team, but apparently our running shorts were not cute enough for her. I've always liked my body. Always. I wasn't fat. I wasn't one of those girls that griped and complained and had connotations every time I had to put on a bathing suit. And I'd never had any complaints from anyone else either, especially not Chad. He constantly told me how he loved that I ate real food and looked normal, and then asked him if I looked fat every time I changed my clothes. No one except her ever had a problem with it, or ever said anything to me about it. I refused to get a complex because of one high-strung woman, and now so had to start with this crap. She does care. We just didn't do what we needed for her. We took advantage. She wouldn't have left us if we had been more what, Dad? More perfect? You know what I mean. No, you don't love people. No, you don't love people for what they can give you. You don't love them because of what they can do for you, or how good you make them look. Love is blind. Love does not boast. Love is not vain. Remember, Dad. I know what the Bible says, Maggie, but since when do you care what God has to say about anything? Ouch. True. We haven't been to church not one Sunday since Mum left. Your mum loved us. We just didn't show her enough love to keep her here. We failed her. I stood up, not caring that Kyle hadn't texted me yet. I looked at the sad, mean, black-haired, pale and thin man in front of me, with his wrinkled navy blue shirt and his hair greased back and cared for. Dad, I love you, but I'm not taking the blame for something she did. I'm going out with a friend. I won't stay out too late. Chad? No, not Chad. Chad's too busy trying to leave this town. Well, good for him. And you knew it was coming. You could learn a few things from that boy. He was a little out of your league anyway, I think. Probably why it didn't work out. You've got to be more realistic, Maggie. You expect too much from people, he muttered. Okay, bye, Dad. I left without another word from him or me. I grabbed my green cargo jacket from the hall coat rack and stuck my phone in my pocket. I looked at myself in the hall mirror. I remembered this mirror. It was bulky and huge, made from antique silver. Dad had to wrestle to get it into the car after Mum found it in an old out-of-the-way antique shop. I looked in it and saw my light brown hair with a little wave at the ends past my shoulders. I saw my green eyes. I saw the freckles smattering my nose and cheeks of untanned skin. I wasn't gorgeous, but I still didn't understand why I wasn't good enough for anyone. I searched for my backpack for the $10 bill I knew was there, and stuffing it in my pocket with my phone, I headed out the door. It was cold and humid. The air was thick with fog and moisture, making a glow around the street lights as I made my way down Broad Street. One street over was Main. I lived right smack in the middle of town my whole life. I didn't have a car because I didn't need one. I could walk anywhere I needed to go, and the diner I worked in was only 5 blocks down and over. But I wasn't heading to the diner. I had no idea where I was going, but I just needed to get away. Dad had completely changed. We used to get along, play games, go to movies, cook together, rake leaves together. We were a typical uptown normal street family from Tennessee, but when my mum left, my dad may as well have left too. He would never have said anything about my weight before, especially since there's nothing wrong with it, and never ever would he have just sat there while his only daughter graduated. He wouldn't have let me get a job just so I had money to buy things I needed, because he was too buried in his grief to go to work anymore. He was not the same man, and I missed him. I have an older brother, Bish, who was adopted, but he'd been out of the house for a long time now. My parents decided when I was 8 to adopt a kid from the States. They got a boy, a 16-year-old kid who'd been pulled from a foster home. He'd apparently been in lots of them, and was pretty happy to actually be adopted, being so old. I liked him right off, and he liked me. He let me follow him around and pester him. He played games with me and took me shopping. I helped introduce him into the youth group at church because he'd never been to church before. But he left to go to art school on a scholarship and moved to New York to be an intern for some jerk at a law firm. I rarely saw him anymore. We text, but he was so busy and I couldn't seem to find anything to talk about how much life sucked here without him. I made my way to the stoplight and waited for it to turn red so I could cross. There was only one other person there, a guy with his back to me. He was wearing his earbuds and bobbing his head a little to whatever beats he was listening to, with his hands in his pockets. He looked back, smiled slightly, and nodded before facing forward again. I checked my phone again and saw I still had no text. I wondered why I was so worried about it. I wasn't even thrilled about going with Kyle in the first place, but now I couldn't seem to stop thinking about it. I thought maybe I'd get a coffee while I waited. If Kyle didn't text me, at least I could sit there, maybe read a little from the Kindle app on my phone before heading home. I put my phone back in my pocket and looked up just in time. The light was turning red, but the guy was already walking without looking to the side first, and was crossing. I saw the red truck turning. The driver's head turned left, but he was turning right. And that's where I'm going to end it for this chapter, but I will upload the next one soon, because it keeps cutting off my videos. Okay. But I'm at my dad's from tomorrow, so I'll upload it to make up for not being able to do any at the weekend. Bye.